Tonight on The Buzz, we look at the challenges facing young people just entering the media industry, what first got them interested in media, and what excites them about their careers. We start with Paulina Borowski. She's a junior at the USC Film School and an intern at Blumhouse Productions. Tonight, she talks about why she wants to work in media, her interest in post-production, and her advice for other students who want to enter the industry. Next, Trevor Horton is a freelance editor who says he fell into the industry. He talks about how he decided the course of his career, the challenges of being a young editor, and his goals for the future. Next, Madeline Leach graduated last year with an MFA from the USC Film School. Tonight, Madeline talks about her love of cinematography, the importance of mentors, and how she's using them to build her career. Next, Sadie Groom is the managing director of the UK-based Bubble Agency. They're a PR firm with 20 years' experience in the industry. Tonight, Sadie showcases their RISE mentoring program for women in media. All this plus Jonathan Handel returns with an update on Hollywood labor. The Buzz starts now.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
Uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
Welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for the creative content industry, covering media production, post-production, and marketing around the world. Hi, my name is Larry Jordan. One of the advantages of teaching is that I get to meet a wide variety of talented young people from all over the world. So tonight, we thought it would be interesting to chat with folks who are just entering the industry. Paulina is still in school. Maddie graduated last year, and Trevor has about 4 years of industry experience. I've had the pleasure of working with Paulina and Trevor, but never heard their story of what got them interested in media in the first place. One point that became clear in talking with all of them was the importance of mentors. The Bubble Agency started a mentoring program 2 years ago in the UK. It expanded to Asia last year and to the US this year. Mentoring is a great way to give back, and I think you'll enjoy Sadie's comments about their program. By the way, if you enjoy The Buzz, please give us a positive rating and a review in the iTunes store. We appreciate your support to help us grow our audience. James DeRuvo returns next week, so in his place, I'm delighted to welcome back Jonathan Handel. Jonathan is an entertainment and technology attorney of counsel at Troy Gould in Los Angeles. He's also the contributing editor on entertainment labor issues for The Hollywood Reporter. And best of all, it is great to have him back on The Buzz. Hello, Jonathan. Welcome back. We've missed you.
Well, I've missed you guys as well, and it's a pleasure to be back.
The last time you were on the show, which was earlier last year, we were deep into the Me Too campaign and the controversy over the Harvey Weinstein crisis. How would you describe the temperature of the industry today?
As regards Me Too, we're sort of in a consolidation phase. On the one hand, there may be some difficulties in the Weinstein prosecution itself. At least one of the charges was dropped. We don't know where that's going. We could be in for a surprise on that, or maybe not. But I think the industry is beginning to adjust to a new normal, a new reality that is one that involves more gender equity and racial equity as well. And that, of course, is a welcome development.
We're taping this on Tuesday, a couple days before the show itself, and the Oscars were announced this morning, yet there were no women directors announced. It looks like we still have a ways to go.
We do. There's no doubt about that. And sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Studies that the Directors Guild has done bear this out. There's no doubt that the opportunities for women directors and directors of color are not what they should be. But the Directors Guild studies also do show, finally, in the last year or so, some change and some progress that we weren't seeing previously. So although it is Oscars so male on the directing side, let's keep our fingers crossed on that.
Based upon what I'm reading, especially the articles that you're putting together, Jonathan, 2019 is going to be a watershed year in a variety of ways, and one of them is the impact of new streaming services, which are going to be debuting this year. What do you see their impact on the industry?
It's going to be tectonic. I mean, first of all, Netflix continues to move forward. There was reporting today that Netflix is in negotiations with the MPAA, the trade association of the major studios, the 6 major studios, soon to be 5 studios, with the Disney acquisition of Fox. That Netflix is in negotiations to join the MPAA. Would be the first time that a company that's not per se a studio, a traditional studio, would be a member. That really, along with Netflix's, I think, 15 Oscar nominations, including one for Best Picture, Roma, really underscores the effect that Netflix is having on the industry. They're producing almost as much content as the entire rest of the industry put together. Certainly the majors in both film and television. But we're going to see new competitors for Netflix arising. The studios are finally starting to respond. We're going to see Disney's streaming service debuting this year. Warner's has announced a service that I believe will debut this year. I'm not 100% sure of that. And we expect that Apple's service will debut this year as well. Meanwhile, Comcast has announced a sort of a hybrid service. Not sure if that's to be debuting this year or next, but soon is no doubt the answer. That will be ad supported and free if you have a cable subscription, or you can pay for it as a subscription service in the same vein as Netflix and get it without commercials. That may pose an interesting challenge to the guilds in terms of how to categorize that service for purposes of residuals. Shifting to the guild lens for a moment, one of the things that's difficult for the unions is that the contracts, particularly the residuals portions of their contracts, are built on assumptions that are shifting out from under their feet in terms of the discrete differences between different media and the way media are categorized. Because the residuals formulas depend very critically on what medium something is made for and what it's being reused in. But when the definitions of media start to blur and overlap and shift, that presents challenges.
Well, the guilds brings us, I think, to another core issue that's going to be happening this year, which is negotiations. And 2 come to mind. One is SAG-AFTRA and the other is DGA. What's happening with SAG-AFTRA in the commercials contract?
Commercials contract expires March 31st, and so negotiations are expected to begin next month, February. And technology is the watchword there. The ad industry is under a lot of pressure. The fact that people are watching Netflix these days, which they're willing to pay for, 10, now 12, 13 bucks a month. They've just raised their prices. There's no ads on Netflix. When there's no ads on a large portion of the media that people are watching, that creates difficulties because SAG-AFTRA really rests on 3 pillars for the actors anyways: film, television, and commercials. And commercials are equally large, if not larger, than each of the other 2 pillars. And so anything that affects the health of the ad industry affects SAG-AFTRA. The other challenge for the union is that there's a significant non-union contingent. A lot of companies shoot commercials non-union, and members in some cases violate the working rules, the rules of SAG-AFTRA, Global Rule 1, and will work on a non-union shoot in violation of those rules. Just this weekend, there was a Cadillac commercial being shot out in the high desert, 140 miles from Los Angeles, and SAG-AFTRA reps traveled in the pre-dawn hours to document that shoot and to identify SAG-AFTRA members who were working on that shoot in violation of the rules. Those members now probably are going to be facing discipline.
And what about the DGA negotiations?
Well, the DGA likes to negotiate early, and their contract doesn't expire until the middle of 2020. We're talking TV theatrical now. Same for SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild. But the DGA, if history is a guide, is likely to begin negotiations and finish negotiations in December of this year. So that's looking ahead towards the end of the year a little bit. But there again, we will see residuals at the forefront and a variety of other issues, again, very much related to the changing industry background.
Jonathan, 2019 is going to be an exciting year. For people who want to follow your reporting, where can they go?
THR Labor, the Hollywood Reporter, labor.com for my labor coverage. And they can also find me at jhandel.com, jhandel.com.
Those websites are thrlabor, all one word, .com, and jhandel, jhandel, jhandel.com. And Jonathan Handel is the voice you've been listening to. And Jonathan, thanks for joining us today.
Larry, thanks very much.
Here's another website I want to introduce you to, doddlenews.com. Doddle News gives you a portal into the broadcast, video, and film industries. It's a leading online resource presenting news, reviews, and products for the film and video industry. Doddle News also offers a resource guide and crew management platform specifically designed for production. These digital call sheets, along with their app, directory, and premium listings, provide in-depth organizational tools for busy production professionals. Doddle News is a part of the Thalo Arts community, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with resources you need to succeed. Whether you want the latest industry news, need to network with other creative professionals, or require state-of-the-art online tools to manage your next project, there's only one place to go, doddlenews.com. Paulina Borowski is a junior studying business administration with an emphasis in cinematic arts at the University of Southern California. To gain job experience, she's also interning at Blumhouse Productions. Hello, Paulina, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. Tonight, we're exploring why young people are entering the industry and how they view their careers. What first attracted you to working in media?
It was actually a summer camp that I went to the summer after 7th grade. My family called it a nerd camp because you couldn't actually get in unless you made these certain test scores. But once you got into the nerd camp, you got to pick any subject that you were able to study for 3 weeks. I saw a class that was titled Video Production, and to me that sounded pretty interesting. So I signed up for it, and then I was taking a really intensive 3-week course in video production. It was like 7 hours a day or something insane like that. And I just really fell in love with the medium.
What part of media are you interested in? I mean, you're studying business administration. Are you looking to run a media company or production or post or be a producer or what?
I am looking to become what's called a post-production supervisor, which is basically like a producer over the realm of post-production. And it's kind of funny because I didn't even know that that role existed until about a year ago when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to be a producer and live the whole production crazy lifestyle, or whether I wanted to kind of settle down and do post-production. And then I discovered that there was such thing as a post-production producer, essentially. So as soon as I found out that that existed, I was like, that is exactly what I want to do, because I am absolutely fascinated with post-production and everything about it. And I love the idea of being able to manage it and coordinate it and be the person that's moving all of those pieces around and making everything happen in post-production.
So where does business administration fit in?
In my major, I actually have to take a whole business core. So I'm taking accounting classes, I'm taking finance classes and economics and all of those things and management. And I think that those things really give me a nice edge in the film industry, because a lot of people that are entering the film industry are strictly creative, whereas my major is really equipping me to be able to understand and interpret and handle the business side of the industry, which I think is really important because it's an industry that, of course, is filled with creative people, and it couldn't happen without the creative people, but it also couldn't happen with only creative people. And so I think that there is a large demand for business-minded people who also understand the creativity that goes in and are not strictly business oriented, but kind of are existing at that intersection between business and creativity. And that's where I want to be, is at that intersection, being able to kind of communicate to both sides almost as like a translator.
You're a full-time student. Why the interest or even the time for interning?
Oh, I think interning is absolutely very important. I made my class schedule so that I am taking classes all day Monday and all day Wednesday, so that leaves my Tuesdays and Thursdays open. And it's not very easy to make your class schedule that way, but if you make a couple of concessions, it's possible. And so I basically go to school all day Monday and Wednesday, which leaves me open to get some intern experience Tuesday and Thursday. And I think that that's just really important because those are the places where you're going to really learn about the industry that you're wanting to go into. And that's the places where, even more importantly, you're going to meet the people that are going to propel you forward and that are going to help you, and that hopefully in the future you can also help them in return.
You're interning at Blumhouse Productions. What are you doing for them?
So I'm actually the only post-production intern at Blumhouse Productions. So I am kind of just in the post-production department there. They have an in-house kind of editorial. So I am mainly right now helping out the post-production PAs in whatever they need. And it also gives me access to be able to talk to all of the people there and just be, working right next to the editor in the next room and being able to ask them questions or talk to the assistant editors and just really get a feel for how the whole system operates in a place like Blumhouse, that it is cranking out movies that are doing well and that are in the theaters, rather than like a smaller place that is just making short form content.
Where do mentors fit into your plans?
Mentors are very important. Larry Jordan, I would say, is one of my mentors, or at least I claim him to be. I don't know if he claims me as a mentee, but mentors are very important because they're always there where you can reach out, ask questions, really just get advice on things to do. Like right before I started my internship, I remember emailing you and saying, okay, like, what do? I don't want to mess up. Tell me exactly how to do on my very first day. Like, what can I say? What can I not say? And you were like, okay, chill out. Just don't do anything stupid. So I think that it's just important to have that kind of person to support you and to kind of guide you in the right direction, and also connect you with people that because your mentors know who you are and they know your unique skill set, they can connect you with people that make sense for you specifically.
Well, just for the record, I'm delighted to be able to help. As someone who's just entering the industry, what challenges do you face?
I think that the challenges I face are difficult, but also easily overcome. I think that one of the main challenges is not knowing anybody. I came to Los Angeles as a small town girl from Texas, and I had zero connections in the film industry. And the more people told me that it's all about who you know, the more discouraged I got for a while, because I was like, okay, I don't know anyone. There's no way that I can ever succeed in this industry. But really, that's the kind of challenge where people work it up to be something that's really difficult to overcome, but it's really not. If you put yourself out there, you be a genuine person and you just be humble and you make friends everywhere you go, your network exponentially expands very quickly. And so I think that not knowing anybody is definitely a challenge, but it's something that can be overcome if you work at it. And the same thing with the challenge of not knowing technical skills. I originally wanted to start out in post-production, but I didn't know everything there was to know about editorial. And I think that my original idea was that I had to know everything before I started to pursue that path. But the truth of the matter is that you learn as you go. So really the only thing to do is to just start. Just do something, just do a project. You do it completely wrong. You take the long way, you take the hard way, and then later you realize an easier way. You say, oh, wow, that would have made my life a lot easier if I had known that last month. But you know what? It's fine. I know it now. So you keep going forward and you keep learning. So I think that as a young person, there's these challenges of not knowing people and not knowing technical skills. But both of those things can be definitely overcome if you just put your mind to it.
So imagine yourself 3 years ago as you were just about ready to plunge into this new activity of getting involved with media. What advice would you give any other young person at the same point in their life?
I think that when I've listened to other people give advice to young people, they always say, do everything in the world. They're like, oh, every single project that comes your way, do it, and all these things. And I remember always listening to that and being like, okay, I can't do everything in the world. But honestly, I guess my advice would be to just do what you can, put yourself out there. Be a good human. And I think that the people that you meet and the things that you do will help you a lot more than you expect down the road. I would say make sure not to hole yourself up in a basement and just stare at your computer screen all day learning all of the technological skills, because I think that in this industry, the people are really what are going to matter in the long run. And the relationships that you make are going to be so much more valuable to you than the technical skills that you can acquire by yourself in your basement. But I think that focusing too much on hard skills and not focusing enough on soft skills will end up not being so great for you in the long run.
And Paulina Borowski is a junior studying business administration with an emphasis in cinematic arts. And Paulina, I wish you great success, not just short term, but in your career as well. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Larry.
Trevor Horton is a freelance editor based in L.A. who's been in the industry for 4 years. He's worked with documentary filmmaker Brian Terwilliger as well as on special features for Living in the Age of Airplanes, and edited the Season 5 YouTube series Late Bloomer with host-producer Kay Kittrell. Hello, Trevor. Welcome.
Hey, Larry.
So what first got you thinking you wanted to be an editor?
Honestly, in the beginning, I never had any interest in this industry whatsoever. It was just something that I never really thought about. You know, my dad, he runs the Los Angeles Creative Pro User Group, and it's kind of been in the background of my life for quite a long time. But I've been very passionate about the gaming industry for many years. Ever since I was a kid, I've been playing games. And when I went to Santa Monica City College, they had a program there for game design. And I was very adamant pursuing that career. So I did that for a few years. And in the middle of that, my dad was kind of pushing me a bit to try other types of classes and just to see if there was anything else I was interested in. So I did sound design, I did the gaming stuff, I did graphic design, but I also took some video editing courses. And again, at that time, I really just didn't have any interest in it, but I just said, okay, you know what, I'm just going to try it and just see how I feel about it. Within the first project, I think it was like a Honda motorcycle commercial that my teacher had us cut. I was hooked. I mean, this was something that was an incredibly satisfying experience to kind of start from clips and, throw them down into a timeline and make something that you feel good about. The challenging thing with the game development world is that it takes quite a long time to kind of get to that satisfying point in making something. But with video editing, you can make something relatively quickly and be satisfied with it. It really kind of sunk its claws into me right from the beginning within, the first project that I did. And then what really kind of motivated me to actually pursue a career in this industry was during my dad's Creative Pro User Group meeting with Arthur Schmidt. He was editing Bob Zemeckis' films for many years. So he did, Castaway and Back to the Future and all these incredible films. And so my dad reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to do kind of a tribute reel to this guy, kind of an introduction to show all of his work to the crowd? And at that time, I had no idea what I was going to do. And it was kind of quite a terrifying thing. I had no idea even why he asked me because I was so inexperienced with editing. But I did it, and I got incredible feedback from people, and they loved it. And it was just such a gratifying experience, and it was incredible. So I knew at that point, you know what, I think I'm actually really good at this, and I can pursue a career in this. So that was kind of the tipping point for me to pursue a career.
Well, now you've been doing it for a few years. So how do you view your career? Is it something that you're planning, or does it just evolve?
Yeah, I think it is something that just kind of evolves. For me, I do my best with networking and just trying to meet people. I don't really have like a solid plan right now. I'm just kind of I'm doing my best to just say yes to opportunities that come my way. And a lot of that comes from networking. That's one of the most important pieces of advice I can actually give someone is to just network like crazy, because I've made quite a few friends in this industry, and a lot of the opportunities that came my way are from those friends. So yeah, I don't have a very specific, clear goal right now. I think I'm just kind of trying to do as much as I can to just kind of find my path, I guess, and whether I want to actually work in film or television or, even the trailer world, I'm actually kind of quite interested in that. So I'm just kind of finding my way right now.
Do you have a mentor?
I don't know, honestly. It's funny because I was actually just thinking about that. I think my mentors really are just, people that give me advice. So I would just say it's a culmination of just, all the advice I've been given is kind of that mentor for me.
As you look back on it, what would you have done differently to prepare yourself for your career? Or would you have done the same thing?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if I would have done anything differently. I try not to think about things like that. They turned out the way they turned out, and that's just, I can't go back and change anything. I guess maybe if I did have a a chance to go back, I'd probably maybe work a little bit harder. But honestly, I'm pretty satisfied where I'm at right now. So I don't think I'd want to go back and really change anything.
The industry changes so quickly. What do you do to stay current?
I just try to embrace the changes because I think it's something that I've kind of noticed from afar is that a lot of people get very frustrated about, certain changes. And obviously in particular with Final Cut 10 that, came out in 2011, that was a very scary time for a lot of people. And for me at that time, that was kind of the beginning for me. It's funny because, the first class that I took for editing, it was using Final Cut 7. And at that time, Final Cut 10 just came out. And I kind of rebelled a little bit at that time because I knew Apple said that they're not going to support Final Cut 7 anymore. So when we were working in class on Final Cut 7, I would basically take the work home and do it in Final Cut 10. So I kind of come from a different perspective than a lot of people. I actually learned how to edit mostly in Final Cut 10. So when I look at, traditional track-based editors, I kind of see it a bit as kind of backwards thinking. Obviously, that's my opinion. A lot of people are going to be they're going to disagree with me. I try to network with people a lot of, just have good discussions with people on, on trends that they're seeing and going to, conventions like NAB, going to user group meetings like the Creative Pro user group in LA. It's just a combination of things with, all the information just kind of comes at me. So I just try to digest it the best way I can.
What advice would you give to a young person starting out in the industry?
The first piece of advice would be, again, I keep going back to this networking thing, but it truly is one of the most important aspects of this industry. It really comes down to who you know. And I kind of knew that in the beginning. This is something that my dad just hammered into my brain. Even when I was pursuing, the gaming industry, it really, really is so important to know people because you could be the most talented editor in this industry, but if you don't know anybody, then it's not really worth much. And then also, I guess another thing is to probably not be, when I do finally, get a job or an opportunity to work in this industry, don't be afraid to ask tons of questions. Because this is something that I had trouble with in the beginning, is that I'd be really afraid to ask questions because I always assumed they were stupid. It was a reflection of my inexperience and people would kind of, question my ability to do things. But this is actually, a piece of advice that you gave me quite a few years ago, because I remember when I first worked with you, I was asking you tons of questions, and I actually apologized. I said, I'm sorry for asking so many questions, but you told me, and you said, don't apologize. If you weren't asking me so many questions, then I'd be concerned. I was quite pleased to know that someone, with your experience was happy to answer as many questions as I had. And it really is important to ask as many questions as you can, just so you have a full understanding of whatever you're doing or working on.
And for people that want to hire you for their next editing gig, how can they get a hold of you?
So you can email me at trevorhorton28@yahoo.com.
That's all one word, trevorhorton28@yahoo.com. And Trevor, thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Larry. Thank you.
Madeline Leach is a cinematographer based in Los Angeles and a recent MFA graduate of USC's Film TV Production Program. She won USC's First Look Faculty Awards for Outstanding Cinematography and is a recipient of the Sun Cinematography Award for her achievement in cinematography, which earned her a mentorship from cinematographer Nancy Schreiber. Hello, Maddie. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Tonight, we're exploring why young people are entering the industry and how they view their careers. What first attracted you to cinematography?
I actually started with photography like a long time ago when I was in middle school. I always loved photography. I went to college for photography, and I picked up a film minor when I was in college, and then I kind of found out that cinematography was a job that I could do, and I could combine both things that I really love to do and be really collaborative. So that's kind of when I started just directly trying to be a cinematographer.
You attended, as you mentioned, the USC Film School. Was film school helpful, or in hindsight, should you have done something different?
After I graduated my undergrad, I worked for a year in New York, and then I worked as like an office PA for Showtime, and then I went to film school for 3 years. And I definitely would say that just through the people I've met and the people I've worked with, I think it was fantastic. I would 100% recommend it to anyone. And I think probably like from a DP standpoint, I think it was really great because I got to shoot everything I could as a DP. Like I would do camera assistant work, but I mainly was shooting as a DP. And so I kind of learned to hone in my voice early, which I think was super important for me.
We've already mentioned that you really appreciated going to film school. What other education or training is helpful for someone who wants to be a cinematographer? What do you need to know?
I'd say, honestly, I think the best thing for me was just working on set. I worked on set like all years through film school. And then my mentor, Nancy Schreiber, was such a big help. She's hired me on so much stuff. And it's been amazing because she's really taken me under her wing. And just being on set and seeing how things work and seeing how other people work has been super helpful to me.
What's one of the main things she's taught you?
I have never seen someone work so hard, like on set ever. And I think that it's just astounding. Like I aspire to be like that because she just is the biggest hustler I've ever seen. And she's the way that she lights and just the way that she carries herself on set is just very impressive. And it's amazing that she's had such a long career and as a woman, and I really look up to her. So I feel very blessed that she's, someone that I can call my mentor.
Where do you find yourself spending your time when you're not on set? Exploring technology or exploring your craft?
Well, when I'm not sleeping, I'm just kidding. When I'm not on set, it's either prepping for a new project or getting ready to hopefully interview for a potential project. I do take, obviously, like camera assistant jobs and things like that so I can see how other people are working and, just to stay afloat financially. I watch a lot of TV, too. I watch a lot of TV and movies. I'm doing research.
Yes, we know that phrase very well. But it sounds like that you're using your on-the-job work as a way to explore both your craft and your technology rather than doing something outside of the set. Is that a true statement?
For me, the way I learn the best about like new technology would be I always rent something I've never used before every time I shoot. So whether I'm gaffing or I'm DPing, I'm always renting a new type of technology or a new type of light or something. So every time I get experience with something new, and it's like every time I make sure I'm doing something just a little bit different so I can kind of see what tools I like and what new stuff I like. And that's...
Your mentor is Nancy Schreiber, a cinematographer we've talked to often here on The Buzz. What's the benefit of having a mentor?
She's amazing. I love her. She has helped me so much. She's taken me to like events and networking things. But besides that, she takes me on set and she really lets me ask her questions and lets me see how she works. And she actually gives me substantial jobs on set too. I'm not just like, following her around. It's like she's lets me get a lot of hands-on experience in commercials and things like that, which I don't think I would have had the access to otherwise. So it's pretty amazing.
You mentioned that one of your goals is to keep paying the rent. As someone who's just entering the industry, what challenges do you face?
I think obviously like steady work, it's pretty hard to get steady work, but I think that for me, I'm lucky because I can be a camera assistant and I can be a gaffer and I can do all this stuff on the side while I'm kind of studying what I want to do. So that helps me a lot. I'm trying to think of other challenges. Erratic schedule. I'm starting to learn how to get like overnight shoots down and that kind of stuff. But I think sometimes it's hard for people to take me seriously, I guess, a little bit because I am just starting out. But I think once people do take a chance on me, they realize that I work hard and I know for the most part, I know what I'm doing. So, yeah.
One of the challenges of cinematography is that you're also managing a fairly large crew, if I understand correctly. How do you deal with managing people who are older than yourself?
I think that it's kind of what I've always grown up and been taught. I'm always respectful. And, I'm always kind, and I'm always very thankful that anyone who's working for me is working for me. And, I think that just if you treat people well and you're a pleasant person to work with, that's kind of what I normally strive for. And I always want to have fun on set because I'm not a brain surgeon. So
How do you view your career? Is your career something that you're planning, or does it just evolve?
I don't think I could have planned anything. I mean, I think that it's kind of funny. It was like I applied to grad school when I wasn't working in New York, and then I forgot I even applied, to be honest. And then I got in and I was like, okay, well, I'm moving to LA. And things kind of just some things have fallen into place, and, some things are just, I don't think I really planned for much. I mean, obviously, like I have goals for myself, but some projects just fall in my lap, and some projects I have to kind of gun for a little bit more.
With one of the goals, getting steady work, what do you find is most helpful in moving your career ahead?
As long as I keep on evolving, I'm pushing myself to learn new things and to learn, recently I've become much better at handling like 16 millimeter film and just having all different things that make me more appealing to hire. I think that's and just meeting people and working with people and, just as much as you can network.
What advice do you have for other young filmmakers looking to make a career in the industry?
Getting on set as much as you can. I think I actually met a lot of great people. A lot of people I know started out volunteering for film school sets because they always need people, and it's a great way to meet people and to network, and then to from there kind of see how things are run and how you want to work. And just getting on set really was crucial for me.
And for people that want to hire you to get on their set for the next project, where can they go on the web?
So my website is mnleach.com.
That's all one word, the letter M, the letter N, Leach, LEACH.com. And Maddie Leach is the voice you've been listening to, a cinematographer. And Maddie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to introduce you to a new website, Thalo.com. Thalo is an artist community and networking site for creative people to connect, be inspired, and showcase their creativity. Thalo.com features content from around the world with a global perspective on all things creative. Thalo is the place for creative folks to learn, collaborate, market, and sell their works. Thalo is a part of Thalo Arts, a worldwide community of artists, filmmakers, and storytellers. From photography to filmmaking, performing arts to fine arts, and everything in between, Thalo is filled with the resources you need to succeed. Visit Thalo.com and discover how their community can help you connect, learn, and succeed. That's Thalo.com. Sadie Groom is the managing director of The Bubble Agency. This is a global PR, marketing, and events agency based in London, and they've been in business more than 20 years. Hello, Sadie. Welcome back.
Hi, Larry. Thanks for having me back.
To get us started, how would you describe Bubble?
Bubble started in 1999. I used to work for a very well-known company called Avid, and I wanted to create a PR and marketing agency that was a little bit different. So I did. So that was Bubble. We have been around now for 19 whole years. We offer PR, marketing, events organisation services, and we have offices in London, the US, and the Middle East.
Tonight, we've been learning about how young people view the media industry and how they're planning their careers. One of the things that caught my attention is your mentoring program. Tell me about it.
So this is a scheme that I launched for an association that I actually launched called RISE, which is for women in broadcast. And RISE caters for women in the non-craft roles in our sector. So we see that as sales, marketing, operations, engineering and business. So there wasn't a group for those type of women. So I launched one when I saw that. And as part of that, one of the things through the conversations I was having that really came out was the lack of women entering our sector. Secondly, the amount of women entering the sector and then leaving it for more exciting sectors, let's say. And thirdly, seeing women just not being able to rise up to the top within the industry that we work in.
Why did you have the focus on non-craft positions, and what does non-craft mean?
There's already a very, very good association out in the world called Women in Film and TV. They focus on what we would call craft roles. So that's production, directing, script writing, editing, audio editing, whatever, being a dubbing mixer, whatever that is. And Women in Film and TV really cater for them. They're a very well established association. But I was on the board of Women in Film and TV for many years. And when I would say I was going to IBC and NAB, it wouldn't matter to them because it just wasn't on their radar. And so that's why we created Rise, which was for women in non-craft roles. So that, this is the people like me, the PR agencies, the people that are in sales roles, the engineers, the head of operations at the broadcasters, and just people that are non-craft. But we don't turn away the craft people if they want to get involved.
Well, what does the program involve?
The Rise Mentoring Program has three main strands. Firstly, they have their meetups with their mentors. We ask the mentors to commit to 2 hours per month for spending time with their mentee. And that can be done hopefully face-to-face, but if not, over the phone or Zoom or something like that. So that's the first strand. The second strand is your time with your fellow mentees. We organise monthly meetups, and in those sessions, they do two things. Firstly, they talk about their weeks and their months and what's going on in their lives and what they need help with. There's 20 women in this group, so it's quite a lively conversation, as you can possibly imagine. But secondly, and very importantly for me, every mentee has to present on their part of the industry. So what that means is, firstly, all the other mentees get to learn about a different part of the sector that they probably didn't know about. But secondly, they get experience in presenting. And if, women want to not even rise up in their career, but in any career now, then at some point you're going to have to present. And that doesn't mean to a room of 500 people. It could just mean having to stand up in a meeting and say internally and say, this is my job and this is what I do. That's the second strand. And then the third strand is we organise lots of external events as well. And we've had a stylist come in, interview training, confidence training. We've had guest speakers, so men and women who we see have done something amazing with their career and want to share that with a group of women. And then we organise events at IBC and NAB as well, and also at some of the other smaller trade shows too.
What are your goals for the program?
My longest ever term goal is that the program doesn't have to exist, if I'm totally honest. But I think people need to be mentored. Mentoring is so important, whether you're male or female. And I think the long-term goal would that it wouldn't necessarily have to focus on gender diversity. Short-term goals are really to improve the confidence of women in our sector, keep women that we might have lost to the Facebooks and Googles and companies that have free pick and mix and free lunch, keep them in our broadcast sector. And just to see these women rise up for their career and have the confidence to know when they can ask for more money or ask for a promotion. And also to, help them get promoted as well. As women, we're not very good at putting our hands up for speaking opportunities at conferences and things. And what I found from the mentoring program that happened last year was just the amount of women that I now have who say, yeah, I'll speak at that event for you. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll go on this radio show, whatever that is. Just to see more women in our sector would be amazing. And then to educate the rest of the manufacturers as well. One of the surveys that we did showed the lack of photography on the manufacturers' websites that had images of female users of their equipment. You know, we really want to work with the sector to say, look, just have a look at your website and the promotions that you're putting out. You know, do you have a female dubbing mixer or, somebody in an OB truck that's female on your imagery? So, you know, it's a Gina Davis quote, but you've got, you can only be it if you can see it.
How do you pick your mentors?
With very careful considerations. Firstly, they have to be willing and able and have the time. They can be male or female. We don't mind. We do ask the mentees if they would prefer female. And that's just because some of the mentees, one of their challenges might be being a mother. And so therefore, having a male mentor might not work with them. But, they have to be, established in the industry to be able to know people. The mentors have to be willing to share. We're not asking them to open up their black book, but they're going to have to be willing to share. So we match them carefully. So, we're for example, my mentee last year was head of marketing and I work in marketing. So, that's got an obvious link. But there were others where they might be looking for a change. We had a girl on the scheme last year who was she was an audio engineer and she was actually looking more on the video side. And so we matched her with somebody who had more that video experience. And that would just enabled her to make that decision and work through that with her.
How are you funding the program?
We are very lucky to have some sponsorship from some great manufacturers in our industry and companies. So Avid are our platinum sponsor, Clearcom and NEP are gold sponsors, Pixel Logic and the DPP are our silver sponsors. And we are desperately looking for more. So mainly manufacturers we're speaking to and associations. But, anybody can get involved at any level. We're all doing this on a voluntary basis. So, sometimes even somebody being able to provide us with meeting rooms is fantastic because that's all stuff that we'd have to pay for.
You're showcasing this program this spring at NAB. What are you doing?
So we are having a RISE event. So RISE was formed 2 years ago and we've had events at IBC. We also launched RISE APAC at Broadcast Asia in June last year, and we want to launch RISE to the US market at NAB. So we'll be holding a drinks event along with a couple of the other women's groups. So what we found out is there's actually quite a few of these groups popping up, and what RISE really wants to do is enable them to be, we've gone through the process, so to enable them to go through the process as well, but not have 20 different women's groups drinks over the time of the show, just because there wouldn't be time. So our goal is then to be able to launch a mentoring program in the US.
For women that would like to participate in this program, where do they sign up and when do applications open?
So applications will be opening up in February of this year. There will be applications on the website from then. The best place to check us out is probably at Twitter because we'll be doing a lot of social media around that. And our handle is at rise_WIB. So that's probably the best place, but it will be around February time. And you'll be seeing and hearing lots of noise about it.
For people that want to learn more about the RISE mentoring program and Bubble in general, where can they go on the web?
So they can go to risewib.com or they can go to bubbleagency.com.
Those two websites are RISE, WIB, Women in Broadcasting, RISEWIB, all one word, .com,
yeah,
and bubbleagency.com. And Sadie Groom is the managing director of the Bubble Agency. And Sadie, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks very much, Larry.
I was just thinking, one of the things I enjoy most about teaching is helping students navigate the transition from school to the working world. Every student I've ever talked with is concerned about how they will do on the outside, whether they know enough, whether they will fit in, and how they'll find work. What they don't realize is that the rest of us are trying to answer those same questions. We just hide our confusion better. One of the best ways we can help is by being mentors. When I was young, I didn't realize what a mentor was, and because of it, my career went off the rails for a while. Being a mentor doesn't require a lot, just spending a few hours a month, good listening, and sharing your experiences. Students don't want or need us to run their life, but there is so much they don't know. They really need to ask questions of someone they can trust. As I get older, I've come to realize that teaching others doesn't diminish what I know. It simply passes on my experience to the next generation. And like we did when we were young, what they do with that knowledge is up to them. Just something I'm thinking about. I want to thank our guests this week, Jonathan Handel with The Hollywood Reporter, film student Paulina Borowski, editor Trevor Horton, cinematographer Madeline Leach, and Sadie Groom with The Bubble Agency. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find thousands of interviews, all online and all available to you today. And remember to sign up for our free weekly show newsletter that comes out every Saturday morning. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner, with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Our producer is Debbie Price. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for listening to the Digital Production Buzz. The Digital Production Buzz is copyright 2019 by Thalo LLC.